Chapter 32. The New Guests. Marcus's sons had hardly hung up the net for drying upon the pier posts provided for it, when the big Roman vessel had come so close to shore that one could converse with the mariners, who then challenged Marcus's sons to ferry the voyagers to shore, since its draught prevented it. The sons did so, and my disciples were not a little surprised to notice among the Roman soldiers and other civil persons also the Captain Julius, and finally even Ebal together with Jarrah. The ship, however, also carried 5 captured, violent street robbers, who carried out their atrocities on the passes between Judah and Samaria, and committed several murders. They were clothed as rabbis, and looked quite superficially amicable, but in each one's heart there resided an entire legion of the most wicked devils, who were forcing these 5 robbers to rob travellers in the most brutal fashion, ruthlessly murdering them afterwards to avoid detection. But these robberies were secretly condoned by the Pharisees, because they made meetings between the apostate Samaritans and the Jews in many parts all but impossible. The Romans, however, also were aware of it, making them especially adversarial towards them. And such criminals then always fared shockingly, because these received the most painful death sentences. Next to the 5 main robbers, there were several political prisoners going forth from the temple for clandestine propaganda against the Romans everywhere. The transport aggregate was heading for Sidon. I screened myself somewhat to prevent Ebal, Julius and Jarrah from immediately noticing me, commanding also the domestics and Cyrenius not to give me away straight away, because there were also several Pharisees upon the vessel who had secretly been sent after me from Jerusalem, although verbally stating other official grounds. Cyrenius welcomed Julius most amicably, which surprised the captain rather joyfully. For firstly, he had not expected to find the highest Asian head of state here, and secondly, because Cyrenius's way towards his subordinates was usually very reserved, although meticulously just. Cyrenius at once conferred with Julius about the criminals, and whether Julius had passed any sentence on them already. Because with the Romans, a sentence once handed down fared inexorably. Only the emperor could revoke same. But Julius had not passed any sentence, and had intended to let the chief governor himself do so at Sidon. He therefore asked Cyrenius to do so with the 5 robber murderers and the several political prisoners, in accord with the criminals' own evidence. Says Cyrenius to Julius, "You have dealt well and wisely for not having sentenced these wicked ones. But I shall not forthwith sentence them either, because a still greater and mightier is found in our proximity. We shall let this one judge in this matter. Hence let the criminals be well guarded until this mightiest and wisest one comes." Says Julius, "Exalted commander over Asia, does perhaps the emperor find himself on Asian soil?" Says Cyrenius, "No, dearest Julius, but one who truly has dominion over all nations of the world, and hence also over the crowned son of Augustus, my brother. Zeus himself with all his godly might has come to us mortals from heaven. His words are works, and his will accomplished deed." Cyrenius, however, spoke thus in the Roman tongue to Julius in order not to give me away, and because he was not aware of Julius already knowing me. Wherefore Julius said, "Most exalted commander, We now live in a time of wonder upon wonder, and the gods must be greatly pleased with us mortals. Because a few days ago I too had the most exceptional privilege in the world, to be acquainted with a man who lacked nothing of Zeus except perhaps a few thousand lightning in his hand. A year would be much too short to tell you what this most obvious Zeus has worked at my Genesareth command, and that at the upright innkeeper Ebal's place. Cyrenius's eyes widened at that, and he felt embarrassed about what he should now say to Julius or ask him. For he realized immediately that the story concerned me, but he did not want to shake Julius's faith. The same, however, was the case with Julius, for the thought so as soon as Cyrenius was describing the almighty Zeus. Neither of them regarded the other as a converted Roman, and so it was the two stringed each other along until I, later on, myself came forward, thus putting an end to their mutual doubts, which I had none the less deferred for an hour.